Chuck 'em. I believe we have a deal.
The Golden Handshake was a gentleman's agreement to make Levi's denim there forever.
We are still the original, the authentic. Nobody can ever take that away from us. We are the #1 brand in denim.
What's up, guys? It's Jason here, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Jeans Insight. The first video I made on this channel was the rise and fall of True Religion jeans, one of my favorite brands of all time. But when you think about jeans, what's the first brand you usually think of? Most likely, it's the classic Levi's. Levi's red and white small tags are iconic to most Americans, and really denim lovers all around the world. The first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Levi's is the back of Bruce Springsteen's jeans on the cover of his Born in the USA album. Yes, those were a pair of Levi's. And yes, that's just how iconic Levi's have been throughout its history. But in 2011, the company found itself in an unprecedented financial and cultural slump. People even asked, is Levi's still around? Does it still make jeans? About a decade later, Levi's is on the upswing yet again, showing just how valuable the history of the brand can be when it comes time to go into fight or die mode. Levi's has become a major cultural player again in the fashion industry, just as Jeep is for the car industry and Disney is for the entertainment industry. Today we'll talk about the rise and fall and rise again of Levi's. By the end of this video, you'll be a jeans expert and be looking for your favorite pair. But before we begin, if you wouldn't mind just tapping that like button for the YouTube algorithm, I'd really appreciate it, as this is a brand new channel I started this year. Leave a comment and I'll definitely do my best to respond. If you ever had a pair of Levi's, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for new videos each week. Thanks for doing that, and now let's continue on with the history of Levi's and what happened to Levi's jeans. The start, an immigration success story. The origins of Levi's is essentially the American dream, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps by hard work and perseverance, often through grueling entrepreneurship. Though the company is named Levi's, it actually had two co-founders, Levi Strauss, a German immigrant who started an importer's clothing business in San Francisco, and Jacob Davis, a Latvian immigrant and tailor who often bought bolts of denim cloth from Levi Strauss's trading company. Davis and Strauss were actually succeeding in their own respective, but related fields by the time they decided to partner together after Davis got an idea from a loyal customer who frequently bought cloth to reinforce his torn pants. This likely wasn't an unusual phenomenon at the time, given that many individuals at the time on the West Coast worked as miners. Strauss and Davis had both come to the conclusion since he opened the cloth warehouse partially to service miners. However, Davis unintentionally put together their first jeans prototype when he reinforced points where his pants strained, such as the base of the button fly and corners of pockets with copper rivets. Davis had the business foresight to recognize that he had stumbled upon a scalable solution to a common problem that could earn him a lot of money. He came across a problem that many investors and would-be entrepreneurs face: lacking money. In his case, lacking the money to buy the necessary patent. After pitching the idea to Strauss, the two went into business together, and Strauss provided the funds for them to successfully patent the improvement in fastening pocket openings. With the mix of Strauss's denim and Davis's copper rivets, in 1873, Levi's 501 jeans was born. Pants for working men and women. The next step in Levi's growth was when Strauss brought Davis to San Francisco from Nevada to take the lead on their manufacturing of waist overalls, as the 501 jeans were then called. Initially, the work was assigned to seamstresses who worked from their homes, but the success of the 501 jeans propelled Strauss to open their own factory. The scaling of production fueled the further popularity of the 501 jeans. By the 1920s, the 501 jeans had become the best-selling work pants in the US. Unlike previous American fashion trends, the 501 jeans appealed to both men and women regardless of age or occupation. What had started out as a pair of pants born from necessity for miners became popular among people in other strenuous lines of work: railroad workers, lumberjacks, and cowboys. Improvements in infrastructure at the time gave Levi's a boost because it enabled people to travel longer distances as well. Americans from the East Coast who traveled to the West in the 1930s actually started to wear the 501 jeans as well because they were fascinated by the culture of the Wild West. By World War II, Levi's also got the de facto endorsement of the government by being declared an essential commodity and sold only to people engaged in defense work. Cross-cultural pollination. Whereas prior to the 1950s, Levi's was a rugged, unisex pants for working people, the hippie zeitgeist of the 1960s paved the way for the jeans to become a cross-cultural phenomenon. In the 1960s, youth became more drawn to counterculture and ready to ditch the inside-the-box thinking of the 1950s. Part of that rebellion manifested itself in the fashion of the times. For anyone who's watched the suited-up and slicked-back hairdos of the men in Mad Men, as well as their pencil-skirted female counterparts that represented the 1950s, 1960s youth actually embraced Levi's jeans to show their empathy with the working class. They also sought to customize their Levi's with patches and paint slogans on them. The fact that rock stars like Mick Jagger, John Lennon, and Blondie's Debbie Harry wore Levi's so often probably didn't hurt the brand as well. Going public. The increasing popularity of Levi's only continued to explode through the mid-1970s. As a result of that growth, Levi's utilized new executive leadership. J. Walter Haas Sr., Peter Haas Sr., Paul Glasgow, and George P. Simpkins Sr. oversaw the company expanding its offerings by acquiring Great Western Garment Company, a Canadian clothing manufacturer that I had never heard of before, but was acquired primarily for its stonewashing technique. If you remember the worn-in look of jeans worn by pop stars like Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys in the 90s, you know exactly what I'm talking about. By the way, be sure to check out my video later on the rise and fall of Britney Spears. The new leadership, with the Haases being direct descendants of Levi Strauss, proved to be effective in terms of scaling Levi's further. Simpkins in particular is often thought of as having spearheaded the company's manufacturing capacity, increasing to more than 63 plants from less than 16 between 1964 through 1974. In just a decade, its manufacturing capacity had tripled. Perhaps at least partially motivated by its populist image, Levi's leadership held true to its human rights values. At the time, textile manufacturing companies were notorious bastions of sweat, tears, and slum-like conditions. Individuals employed in Levi's plants were among the highest paid and worked with air conditioning, a very rare luxury in those facilities. And no, Levi's wasn't unionized. It wasn't demanded for by employees, but given because the Haas family strongly believed in human rights and put their money where their mouth was. The apex of their expansion during that time was likely Levi going public in 1971. Their sales grew annually by 37% in the late 1970s. Unfortunately for Levi's, it wasn't a sign of better things to come in the next decade. It got so bad that in 1984, the direct descendants of Levi Strauss actually took out a big loan to buy back most of the shares. They decided to make the company private again in 1984. Going private helped them operate more swiftly and without the burden of having to answer to shareholders. Brief decline of Levi's. By the 1980s, Levi's couldn't keep up its momentum. The company's previously booming manufacturing couldn't sustain itself, so Levi's ended up closing around 60 of its recently opened manufacturing plants. In an attempt to diversify its styles and offerings, Levi's launched the Dockers brand in 1986, offering slacks through Dockers in addition to Levi's denim offerings, which began to get tired among its core audience because there were relatively few denim variations. By the mid-1990s, Levi's couldn't find its footing. Expansion overseas with the introduction of Dockers in Europe in 1996 actually proved to be burdensome. In 2004, then CEO Jorge Bardina tried to sell the Dockers division to reduce Levi's debt of $2.6 billion. In the next decade, Levi's mostly faced continued competition. The 1990s saw competition from other brand names such as Calvin Klein and Wranglers. It became a sort of a race to the bottom in terms of manufacturing cost. This led to Levi's taking a hit to its brand integrity in 1991 when it was discovered that actually about 3% of its jeans were made in China, despite being labeled Made in the USA. While Levi's had been a champion of labor rights in earlier decades, the Department of Labor actually described the conditions under which Chinese laborers were working in slave-like circumstances. That same year, Levi's got implicated in another labor scandal closer to home, in the Northern Mariana Islands in American territory close to Guam. It involved, you guessed it, poor working conditions yet again. Levi's responded by breaking off all ties with the accused Levi's supplier in Northern Mariana Islands. Slowly climbing its way back up. With Levi's reputation somewhat battered, its leadership took drastic steps to try to turn around its finances. In 2002, it shut down its first plant in San Francisco, its home city. The very next year, all manufacturing plants in the US closed. Charles Berg became the new CEO of Levi's in 2011. He has been largely credited with making the company relevant again. He had taken the reins of Levi's after having worked 25 years for large corporations such as Procter & Gamble. Berg's deep experience in the retail environment helped him understand business opportunities and to conceptualize the Levi's brand and reintroduce it to generations who thought of the company as antiquated. After talking with many Levi's employees and longtime fans of the brand, Berg packaged Levi's new selling point as "Live in Levi's." The marketing tagline alluded to Levi's origins as pants that people worked in and basically lived their daily lives in. Berg also outlined 4 main points integral to Levi's success: building a profitable and growing core that at the time was somewhat stagnant as 80% of its profit came from men's bottoms, investing more and offering more women's bottoms and tops, especially in developing countries such as China and India, become an omni-channel retailer as it already had 2,700 stores worldwide but needed to boost its digital channels to enjoy higher margins on non-brick-and-mortar sales, reducing its $2 billion debt, and simply investing in R&D through its innovation lab. One key example of the plan's success is that the innovation lab Berg opened in 2013 reinvented their extremely limited women's denim line to include athleisure as well. Levi's noticed Lululemons just as much as anyone else. That craze for leisure wear among women resulted in Levi creating a new stretchy, comfortable, and soft pants for women that saw consistent growth through 11 quarters. The proof's in the pudding. Sales went from less than $800 million to $1 billion plus annually. As of 2017, Levi's has rebounded very well. It's gone from being in the red to now having $1.2 billion in cash or liquidity. Its revenue increased by 8%, and there's still room to grow. Berg points out that, for instance, while Levi's has become successful at women's clothes, they've only scratched the surface, and the sky is the limit. Berg recounts that women's clothing and tops in particular could be a big moneymaker for Levi's simply because, though they saw 35% growth in 2016, its overall market share for tops is still under 1%. In an age where most retailers are either totally closing up brick-and-mortar shops or filing for bankruptcy, Levi's was then on track for almost 3,000 stores. Sales had peaked at $7 billion in 1997. From 2001 to 2010, it stayed steady, never going beyond $4.5 billion. And that brings us to today. In 2021 and 2022, as part of that new strategy to again take the company to new heights, Levi's did something very unexpected. It went public again in 2019. You can now buy a share of Levi on the New York Stock Exchange. This marked 34 years after it initially returned to private family ownership. The results were mostly positive, with the IPO valued at $6.6 billion. As of 2021, the company today is worth about $11 billion, with the share price at all-time highs. In August of this year, they also bought Beyond Yoga, as almost all apparel brands have been ramping up their exposure to clothes that can be worn at home, such as shorts and tanks, as demand for the items surged during pandemic-led lockdowns that kept people indoors. With a new surge of popularity in casual denim, especially from competitors like Abercrombie & Fitch, Levi's has the chance to cement its status as the go-to denim to live in. Play sports in your Levi's, eat in your Levi's, go to work in your Levi's, watch Company Insight on YouTube in your Levi's! Considering how often I see people posting about Levi's on social media, their chances of remaining competitive is still strong. So with that said, thank you so much for watching my video. There was a significant amount of research, production, and gene testing that went into making this video possible. As this is a brand new YouTube channel I just started this year, if you enjoy videos like this, please click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. I respond to all comments. If you haven't seen already, check out my video on the rise and fall of DDR or the rise and fall of Chicago. As always, stay happy and healthy and stay tuned for another episode of Company Insight next week.